Yo, 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 ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas to all and to all. I don't know. Okay. You know how this works these days? We're just going straight to fucking headlines. That's all anyone's here for. They don't want to hear our banter. They don't want to hear Mark's cough. They just want to go straight to headlines. So, from the National Association of Plan Advisors, don't know why I picked those guys. They wrote an article called Clock Ticking on the Security and Exchange Commission. Did I get that right? Controversial swing pricing. Ooh, swing pricing sounds sexy. Proposal. I read this article, and I'm not joking. I'm not trying to make fun of myself. I read this article, very interested, very open-minded, and I got to the end of it, and I didn't understand a word that I was.
I was gonna say the same thing. I'm
Were you?
like, I need
Okay,
one of you
good.
two to explain this to me because I think I kind of understood, but I really don't know.
Chad, I got
I
your
stopped
back.
reading halfway through.
Good. So you guys are. I feel so
Yeah.
like I partnered with you. So what did I do? I wrote Nevin an email and I said, "Hey, this sounds important to me. Like I feel like this is impactful, but I don't understand what's going on. Do you? And is it important?" And he wrote me back and said, "Yes, it is." So Nevin, tell me what the hell is going on here. Like I feel like this could impact 401ks in some kind of, from a record keeping perspective, some kind of negative way, but I'm just not quite getting it.
Well, this is a big deal. And those of us who have been in this business longer than some of the rest of us would probably remember how we sort of got this. But you all know the standard way that record keepers do things now is participants can call in, board in a distribution or a loan, do a transfer, like up until what time?
Close of the
You
market
guys know?
or something? I don't know.
Yeah, till the market close, till like 4
Yeah.
p.m., right? 4 p.m. Eastern. And all those trades kind of come in and the record keepers kind of net them all out and they come up with net transfer numbers and they communicate those to the fund companies and money changes hands.
Doing all the accounting on the values of the investments, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Well, and everybody's able to do this now, but once upon a time, only the mutual fund companies, who shall remain nameless, were really in a position to do this because the trading desks were like right next door to them, right? And so the rest of the industry, we'd do all the same kind of work and we'd give the information, but it would go to the fund companies basically after the market closed. So we would get the next day's price, which those fund companies gleefully replied to or labeled it as being yesterdaily valuation. Okay, which was clever, but really painful for those of us who were in that category. But now the rules have been fixed. And so basically you're approved to do that kind of trading with the mutual fund company. You can do that and you do it after, take the trades up till 4 and you get the information to them later. The SEC, looking back to COVID.
Finish your thought. Keep going.
He just rolled his eyes while he did that.
They are concerned about market volatility. And as a way to do this, they basically want to limit it so that the only people, by 4 p.m., basically the fund companies have to have the transactions in their hands.
I don't know what that stands for, but it's a time thing.
Not day, but night. I'm going to say it's 2 letters. So screw it. Nevin's smart enough. He should know that.
He should.
Yeah.
Is this when you say the word volatility?
Yeah.
I don't think he was done with his thought. I don't think he was done.
And I'm still not fully there.
So the bottom line is the record keepers are all going to have to do their business. They're going to have to cut off trading sooner so that they can get this information to the record keepers or to the fund companies by 4 p.m. Or they're going to be doing yesterdaily prices like all of us used to have to do. Now, this is not a new idea. That infamous Securities Exchange Commission had the same idea back in the early 2000s. Okay, again, coming in the wake of the whole tech blow up and things like that. So it's not a new idea. The industry has fought this off before and pushed it back, and we're going to apparently have to do it again. We have talked to the
meaning the American Retirement Association.
We meaning the American Retirement Association, and have expressed our concerns and reminded them that we've been down this path before. At least at that hearing, they were not impressed. So it's out for comments through February 14th. everybody should chime on this thing, because if it goes through, it's really going to mess things up. So it is a big deal.
It would be a competitive disadvantage and negative for just record keeping in general. People who wanted to expose it could, and it would look like we're not really getting things done timely, or it's a disadvantage.
I mean, at some level, I mean, first off, we all know that most people don't trade in their 401ks.
Yeah, we're not supposed to be
and it's not a
trading
big
this
deal.
stuff every day. Yeah.
No, but you might want to do it on a day, and given the market volatility, you might actually on a particular day either want to buy in or sell out. And this would affect that. So, again, but the biggest thing is it's going to require communications to participants. You're going to have to tell them that the rules of the game have changed. And that's always so much fun.
You don't even think about it, but it probably changes, the technology and the programming and the coding and the internal operations of record. I mean, too, that's a cost when they got to change how they actually do things and make sure that it's done right and checked. Why? Because I'm still like, Chad, I get what you're saying. I get why it's a potential negative, but why do they want to do it? Are they worried about that people are being, as Santa would refer to it, being naughty after hours? Like, is this a security thing?
Yeah.
Is it a...
They're not actually targeting 401k plans.
Right.
401k plans would just get caught up in all of this. But yes, there is a concern that people are out there and that they're doing things. They're basically trying to take advantage of the market, and some concern that people might, kind of seeing what's happening with the market, then placing their trade to sort of take advantage of it. And, that part's not an illegitimate concern. And if the Securities and Exchange Commission wants to rope them off and do something about that, more power to them. Our point has been that's not the 401k system. That system does have controls and things and processes, and it's really going to disrupt things if they put this on.
So
it's a big deal.
If the all-in-mighty and powerful robe guy wants to chime in on this, he has till sometime in February or something to kind of put his 2 cents in.
Valentine's Day.
Okay.
How precious.
I'm gonna need another review of all this, because even though I browsed through the words that in the article and then I heard Nevin speak for the past 8.5 minutes, I still don't really understand what's going on.
Yeah. Me neither, really. Me neither.
Nevin, you had to give us a 4-minute background to get to your point, and even still, I don't think I fully grasp.
I got you now, Nevin. I got you now.
I just want you to not take a
Mark.
Yeah. Were you actually
You sure
listening?
you just didn't zone out? Were you listening?
Not even a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah, that's why
We
I got
may
to make
well be
pretend
a-
like I was.
Have you ever transferred money in your 401k account?
Transfer money into
Yeah.
it?
Oh no,
every
between
pay
funds.
period.
Between funds.
Change your investments.
Of course.
Have you changed your
Are you
investment?
kidding me, Nevin?
Yeah. Hey, Nevin, this is how you should have started your answer, okay? To someone like me. Okay. Have you ever done this? Yeah. So now what's happening?
So when you look at that investment and that mutual fund has a net asset value of $13 and you think you're making that trade, you might not really be getting $13. You might be getting 11 or something because it trades later or something.
See, I would think that somebody who traffics in
understand
stock tips would have a greater grasp of this.
Yeah.
But,
Nevin, you don't understand. All that stuff that you all think about, that's why you're always wrong. It's because you got to not think about that stuff.
I think someone had spiked Mark's NyQuil. Okay, let's move on to the next headline. Again, from those lovely people at the National Association of Plan Advisors. What a proprietary show we have today for articles from Nevin's employer. You're still employed to
Everybody else been sleeping for the holidays.
Everybody, we'll ask that later.
Says the guy wearing pajamas.
Yeah, it's been on for 6 days.
Capitalizing
Gross.
on digital marketing key to growth for registered investment advisors and independent broker dealers. Let me read for you a couple of things from this. It leverages it's Broadridge, and it's leveraging their.
Wait a minute. Let's back up for a second.
Shoot.
Would you reread that headline as you just did?
Sure. Key growth for two marketing digital capitalizing independent broker dealers on registered investment advisors.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, good. Mark's confused. It comes from that was my attempt
What's
at a
going
joke,
on
Mark.
right now?
It comes from the
Catch up,
Broadridge
Mark.
4th annual financial
I
advisory.
don't understand what's happening.
Trying to get him back, in there.
Exactly.
Oh,
It reveals
Nevin, you
that
gotta try harder than that.
63% of advisors are actively seeking new clients. Okay, whatever, fine. But inbound prospect requests apparently are not meeting their demands, as only 43% of the survey are experiencing increases in inbound prospect requests. And that's down from 2021. Slightly more than half, 52% of the respondents said they're either are very or somewhat confident that they can bring on new business, and that's also down from 2021. So they say it's been a challenging year is the takeaway here. And the reason for these challenges are compliance and regulatory guidelines. So there's been a lot of changes amongst broker dealers, things you have to do, I's you have to dot, T's you have to cross. I've seen that firsthand. Increased market volatility. The markets have been crazy and we've had a down market for the first time in a long time. And then they're also facing the same problems that a lot of employers are facing in this kind of hiring crunch. It's tough to find talent, find new people. Question I want to throw out to you, and I'll send it to Chad first. I thought volatile markets were a great time for advisors to win new business, whether or not you're a 401k advisor or a financial planner or a wealth manager. I thought when the markets were up and down and mostly down, that was the time when people actually wanted to listen to you and you could tell them your story.
I would say that's what we've seen in the past. What I have seen different in this volatility than I have in the past, though, JD, is that people are really wanting to work with folks they already know and trust. And I think that that's led to some of this marketing and advertising falling on deaf ears. People are willing to move advisors. They're willing to change their service teams, but they're wanting to work with people they already know. A lot of the cold calling that we've been monitoring and following for the gentleman that's been doing that. A lot of the outreach has been, in my point of view, unsuccessful. What was interesting to me in that article in terms of success with it is I think they said somewhere north of 40% is the range people are converting social media leads.
Yeah, you've jumped all the way to the end, but yeah.
Well, let me make one more point before you transition.
Cool.
What I think they missed in this, though, JD, in terms of the headwinds, is that so many folks who focus in that space are still struggling to figure out how we should be communicating to our audience in the new world that we're living in this digital space where people are not in their office every day. People are accessing their information differently than they ever had. And I think it's leaving many advisors fearful. Not only is compliance there, not only are times different, but I think it's leaving advisors fearful of spending that money when they don't know, they haven't seen a proven track record of how it's going to work.
Seems like a reality to me. When you were saying that advisors were struggling because clients were more hiring people that they knew, my first instinct was, yeah, so it's harder to get to know people on the internet, right? Versus the old school ways. So yeah. I could get you to know me in the old way, through certain things, but now I'm in this kind of dark web trying to get you to trust me. And maybe there's some challenges there. Nevin, I continue to be shocked by these guys that are sitting here with us. I've been waiting for them to tell me when life was coming back to normal. And we're not going to have one of these COVID talks like everyone's been having for 2 years. But they have quickly, and everyone listening in, they quickly tell me that life has changed. They are hitting new sales goals, bringing in more plans than they've ever brought in before. And they're doing it all through their little fucking screens. They're literally doing it all virtually. And that continues to shock me. So do you think Chad's onto something here, Nevin? Is it just harder for advisors to win new business in this new digital world?
Well, I think it depends on who you're talking to. And I think it depends on their client base. I mean, and honestly, some of it's generational. Your traditional, your boomers.
You old people.
Yes. Prefer to deal with people. And even though there are surveys that show that people are ultimately, when it gets down to trust, they want to deal with a real life person. I think younger generations are more comfortable being purely transactional online. But I do think it depends on who the advisor is, and I do think it depends on whether people know them from before or not. This is not a good environment to get to know somebody in. I don't think. If it is a good environment, if you know somebody to be leaning
Dude,
on them.
that's a bummer because if I
it's
was
not true.
if I was starting out, well, I'd love to hear this. Chad, but
Nevin.
if I was starting out as an advisor right now, to me, I would feel like, wow, like I have so much opportunity. I don't have to sell in my backyard anymore. I can sell to all 50 states. So that just gives me a much bigger net to play with as is. And I can be so much more efficient sitting in front of my computer, scheduling Zoom meetings, face-to-face chats with prospects of mine versus getting in my car and driving everywhere around wherever I live. I would just think like, oh, wow, this is the time where I'm going to be 10 times more productive than an advisor from 5 years ago because of this world I'm living in. But according to Broadridge, that's not happening.
Well, okay. Now, not to put too fine a point on it, but the piece seemed to mainly be focusing on the fact that people who have a plan actually are doing a lot better than people who don't have a plan, which is a dumb
Always
moment to
true.
me.
Yeah,
But,
I wrote duh right here. I wrote duh.
And unfortunately, that's probably an acronym for something, but
You
but we'll
nailed
let
it,
it go
Nevin.
for now.
Yeah, you nailed it. It said something effective like
Yeah,
the survey found significant differences in outcomes between those advisors who have a defined marketing strategy versus those who don't. No
Yes,
shit,
and
Sherlock.
I wonder who would be standing by waiting to help advisors craft a marketing plan.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that notwithstanding, I do think, look, COVID has been a rough period in a lot of ways, and I think for a lot of employers and plans and things like that, everything's been kind of on hold, right? I think there's a lot of pent-up demand, which I suspect is some of what you can attribute some of the movement to. Now, I realize that all parts of the country haven't been shut down the same way that other parts have. And I realize that the online, the virtual only sales interaction environment, that has loosened a lot of things up, and that has made a lot of things possible that were not possible before. That compliance has suddenly come into the 21st century on such things, and that's all a good thing. So there are a lot of dynamics going on right now. But again, I think a lot depends on the advisor and who they are and how they do business. I don't know how to equate somebody who says they're getting this great impact from digital outreach versus anything else. I mean, maybe if they get a contact from something they put up on social media, but the article also talks about the challenges that people have with actually coming up with content to put out on social media.
I think
So,
you have to put those in two silos. Like there is the
Yeah.
concept of branding and marketing and trying to set your lures out there to get new prospects, but there's also the concept of just running your regular business model and doing it in a digital framework, and that means bringing on new clients too. And that's where I get weirded out because everyone I've talked to through 2020 and 2021 and 2022. And like I mentioned, these guys, their numbers just keep going up, up and up. You know, like people were crushing it in those COVID years. So I'd love to know that there's more pent up demand, Evan, but I feel like people have been doing really well over the last few years.
Agreed.
Well, okay, you guys have had the California, the Cal Savers program,
Touche.
sort
Good
of
point.
prompting
Yeah.
awareness. And then the next door, you've had Oregon Saves out there doing the same
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Fair
So,
enough.
I mean, again, I think there are different dynamics now, and it could just be that the guys sitting here are just damn good at their job. So, you know,
Not true.
I realize.
I can't pass the point earlier where I said that's just wrong, Nevin, because I think the fact of how good these two guys are and where I think many have missed so far this mark is too many people don't understand how to build a relationship via a screen. They get in, I can't even tell you how many times I get into a meeting with an advisor and it's like they're presenting to a room of 700 people. Well, thank you so much for all of us gathering here today. Let's spend some time chatting about your 401k. I'm like, no, you wouldn't start a meeting when you walked into their conference room like that. So why break the ice, be personable, have conversations, reach out to people via email that with nothing to do with the the retirement plan opportunity. Reach out and ask them, how was the knitting class you mentioned you were going to afterwards? Like, you have to find a better way to build relationships. And if people say they can't do that or they haven't figured it out, you're way too far behind now.
Chad, Sherry Fitz is at home right now watching, and she's screaming at, like, she loves you. She's like, yes, Chad, you get it. And Sherry, it's so nice to see you. You're off of your 6-day suspension for not having alcohol at last week's show. So congratulations. You're free to be here. We love you. Can I go to the marketing part of this thing? I bitch at advisors quite a bit about not being good entrepreneurs, not kind of running their businesses properly. Check this out. It talked about their marketing spend, and it said overall, while advisors' average marketing spend continues to increase, they spent on average $17,433 in 2022. It's up from $16,000 in 2021. But here's the thing. That comes down to a percentage of their revenue, which is 3.1%. I won't tell you what we spend, but it's a lot fucking more than that. And most business to client companies, business models, spend upwards of like 10% of their revenue on marketing. So I saw this as a clear indication of oh yeah, these advisors don't understand that they need to spend money on their marketing to win new business. And it reminds me to my old man, who I know many of you know I bought the company from, but he taught me everything I know. And he taught Chad too quite a bit in the beginning of Chad's career. And he was, handing the keys to me, the Nepo baby. I'll drink for that. And it's gotta be one.
That's
Just let me know.
That's
That
just
part, let me
short.
know. And he had one kind of golden rule for me, which was don't ever take your foot off the marketing gas pedal. He goes, if I've learned anything over the decades, and he found the company in 1975, he goes, you always have to be filling your pipeline. You always have to be marketing. And he goes, and that's the biggest mistake that people make in business. They're not trying to keep hustling in terms of getting new business in. So I say to the advisors that are spending 3% of their revenue on marketing, you need to dedicate more money and more time to this shit for it to work. Like, you're not taking it seriously. Silence.
I'm just,
And
I would like,
Sherry,
I would
Sherry
like,
wants to quote you
I-
on her next pitch. So.
I want Paul Carlson to come on and verify the accuracy of that quote, because after having worked with him behind the scenes on the Plan Design Consultants accounting and bookkeeping and all that for a while, I don't think that's what he was saying at that point. Just going to be honest with you.
He wasn't saying
I think he was
spend
like,
that
hey,
money.
tell JD to stop using the credit card for God's sake.
I definitely think there's some differences in how Dad did it and how I do it, but
Oh, you think? You think just a little bit?
the moral of the story was, which I think everyone can agree, but I think I'm being serious. I think advisors sometimes forget you are running a business. Whether you're part of a big broker dealer, or you're part of a bigger registered investment advisor, or whether you're just a solo guy or girl hanging your shingle out on Main Street, like, you are running a business. And there's more to running a financial advisor business than doing asset allocation and fiduciary reviews for your clients and watching the markets and doing all these things. You have to actually be an entrepreneur that runs your business. And I think a lot of y'all fuck that up and don't realize the time, energy, effort, and money that has to go into that. How much of your week are you carving out to put on your business runner hat and figure out your strategy, to the point of this
60
article?
minutes a week sitting here.
So I do think a lot of people need to look in the mirror for that. I mean, to the point of this article, how many of them don't have a plan? I'm not even going to talk to you people that you don't have a plan, but the people that do, like, is it the right plan? Are you spending enough money on it? Is it strategically intelligent? How are you going about this? Because I got news for you. That's a big part of
your budget should be spent on a robe and then paying me to wear it.
Yeah.
So
We should be taping this.
that's a very small percentage of
the only
your...
part where someone would get me, Mark, is, and Brandon's guilty of this too, is, but you can't spend 25% of your revenue on a silly show where people drink beer. Like, you can't buy new cameras for fucking 20 grand.
Or
and all
one
I would
could
love to know what
argue
percentage of our
that
budget is.
that's edgy and different. You really can't put a price tag on
Mhm.
something like this.
My wife looks at the numbers all the time and says, "Do you know
How did I spend that much money?
why are we spending this much on the Retireholic stuff?" And I just change the subject and we move on to something else.
It's just
Oh.
bar bills. That's all it is.
Okay. You know what we got to do? You know what we got to do? We got to spin the wheel of ice. So let's spin it, man. Let's get it over with.
The wheel of ice, the wheel of ice.
Gotta be all of us, right? It's my show.
I'm saying Justin tonight.
Ooh, JD.
Oh, it's JD with a Malort.
Fuck, it's 2 weeks in a row. Oh, Malort, I got it.
You're a lucky man, JD.
Oh shit! Speaking of my lord, JD, we lost the bet.
Wait a second. Has Biden signed it yet?
I don't believe yet. Although the rumor is that they were flying it down to St. Croix.
Oh, well, we'll see.
I shit you not.
Does Biden have to sign it before the ball drops? No, right? He doesn't care. He could sign it on.
I think he needs to sign it before the end of the
Oh, shit.
30th.
Okay,
I
so
thought
we're,
so.
He will.
we're
He
screwed.
will.
We're
Keep
screwed.
sleeping,
Justin.
Joe.
We're screwed. And we will do that on next
He
week's
doesn't
show.
work on Saturdays.
We'll do that on next week's show, and I'll announce at the end of the show we got a big time guest next week, so it'll be fun for you and I.
Bigger
Justin,
than
to
Nevin?
take our penalty.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Wow.
Wow.
moved on.
It's a good
Wow.
kickoff for the year. It's a
mean-
good kickoff for the year. I'm going to drink my Malort, but what I would like to do now is do a little setting every cat up for retirement 2.0 review of last week. Because Nevin, I was telling you earlier, we attempted to
I'm just
come
gonna
out
sit this one out.
and explain to everyone all the cool new shit in the new legislation. And I think partway through it, I realized, and the audience realized, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about on a lot of this shit. And
That's
so
not true.
I thought maybe we could do a little bit of
Shut
a
up, Chad. It's
Back-
okay to admit it.
fact check on what we said last week. So I went back to that section of the show. I watched it through and I pulled out some of the questions the audience had, some of the things we kind of went, huh? And didn't know about. And we've got Nevin
Did
here.
you
And,
get it
and
right?
by the way, nobody's an expert on this shit. But as I pound this Malort, Nevin, we talked about the starter K, and I know Brian Graff was a big proponent of this, a big fan of this. And for everyone out there listening, it's kind of individual retirement account like 6,000 limits, et cetera, et cetera. But we had some questions, or Chad did. He said, will they have to file a 5,500? Someone in the chat bar said, is there fiduciary responsibility with this? Justin said, are the owners limited by this? Chad asked if there was testing. Justin asked if there was Roth only. I said to them very flippantly and inebriated, I said, no, I don't think any of those things apply because that's not why they made this. They made it to be really easy. What can you tell me about the starter K, Nevin, and some of those types of questions? And cheers to everyone on the mobile.
By the way, before you do, Nevin, Tom just wrote and I validated that Biden did just sign it. 54 minutes ago, they announced it.
Bam.
Okay.
You heard it here.
Brandon, I need my lord.
This is not, oh, we can send you some. We got you, Justin.
Well, we
So
knew he
why
was
is
going
it
to.
just Malort? Like that's not a good punishment for being wrong.
Because we
It's
didn't come up
Malort
with anything better.
And a beer chaser. But Nevin, while I drink
Go,
this,
Nevin, go.
can you let everyone know, like the starter K, you don't have to file 5,500s. We're not going to limit the highly comped, right? This is simple.
It is simple. It is deliberately designed to basically compete head on, if you will, with the state-run IRA designs. So that's the kind of thing to kind of give you kind of a federal version of that, but it is exceedingly simple.
Individual retirement account.
State
was your
run individual retirement
penalty.
account.
Jesus.
w- So the state run plans, they're all very different, but most
Yeah.
of them through their individual retirement account kind of protection claim that there's no real fiduciary responsibility. This is a 401k
So-
plan, right?
Right. It's a type of K. Yes. So it is. I think you're going to have fiduciary, all that kind of good stuff, but
Well,
it's
that's
just, it's a lot
interesting.
simpler. It's a lot easier to run. You don't have to worry about the all the testing and stuff like that. So it's really straightforward. And
So there's no.
You know,
cap
as I
on
said, we
deferrals
ran
for-
out some numbers that suggest that it could give as many as 19, 20 million workers access to a plan now that don't have access to a plan, because it's going to be real easy to run, real easy to sell.
But it's not
Is it?
mandatory.
No, it's not mandatory.
Could we see in the future this be what replaces the state mandated plans? Could we see
Ooh,
those
good one,
fall back?
John,
Because
good
there was
one.
fear of having 25, 40 state mandate requirements that are all different.
Well,
Great
remember
question.
that the reason the state started doing it was because the feds wouldn't. Because the feds couldn't get that
Mhm.
off the ground, kind of thing. And, you know, it's always been the mandate that chases off, well, certainly on the Republican side of the House, people are disinclined to impose a mandate, particularly on small businesses. And so the states basically said, well, the federal government's not going to be able to do this, then we're going to step forward with our solution to the
Yeah.
program or to the problem. So they did. So yeah, now you've got something that might very well compete favorably with those state-run designs. Now, I don't know, the ones that are there will probably be allowed to stay there, but it might very well sort of encourage people who looking at them to say, I don't need to.
Can we have some fun and kind of guess on the sales side of these things? Do we imagine advisors playing a role in, and do I call it starter K? Is that what I call it?
Yeah,
Starter
sort
K?
of can.
Do we imagine a financial advisor playing a role in a starter K and selling something from Voya or Trans Am or Principal or Empower and picking a core menu and that kind of jazz?
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
That's fucking cool. I feel like
It
that's
is cool.
interesting.
It is cool.
I don't.
It's really, I mean,
what-
that's one of the big things that we were pushing for, because, you know, we've been concerned for a long time about the coverage gap, and that, you know, there are a lot of different ways to sort of help the coverage gap. The starter K is one of them. The tax credits, the greatly expanded tax credits for new plans is a big deal, which we haven't talked about yet, but we should. But that's also a big deal to help close kind of that
Is it-
coverage gap.
Would it be illegal for third-party administrators to pretend like there's a job for us to do in those and charge? I'm kidding. I'm joking. But it's not great for third-party administrators because nothing for us to do. But that's fine.
I'm just curious. We've seen the record keeper community struggle when certain changes are made to the space and requirements are implemented. You think, I won't name one, but JD, you think they're really going to want to build out the different limits, the removal of certain things like Roth, the removal of loan provisions? Like, they're going to have to completely customize their tech in order to make this operate efficiently. And
Well, but
train their
see-
people to be able to identify, is it a
That-
starter K or a traditional? And
That's what we're
But
doing.
y'all are looking, I don't think it's an either or. I mean,
Great
I think the
question.
opportunity here
agree,
is to
agree.
go in and say, look, because remember what small business owners have typically held out is their reasons for not offering a plan. They're worried about cost, they're worried about complexity, that kind of stuff. So what you can do is you can go in and basically say, look, we've talked about this before. I know this has been a concern. Look, now there's a solution thanks to this brand new, you know, legislation that's been passed. Let me tell you something about it. And then once you got that door open, then there's an opportunity, because there are things, a small business owner, there's not going to be as much for them, if you will, in terms of a starter K. And then the door's open for the discussion. And then you can say, well, you know, we got something that can do even better for you. And that's like, you know.
I know
Am I
now's
being-
not the
Wait,
time.
yeah,
Now's
though.
not the time, but I really want to break down the difference from a business owner perspective, because that was your comment right there. Like, you're still processing payroll, you auto enroll everybody. You've got a lot of requirements where people make most of their mistakes. The difference when needing a tax filing and needing to do compliance work, I think, is very minimal if you're talking about a plan where 8 highly compensated employees aren't able to save more than
Well,
$6
yeah,
grand
Chad,
anyway.
And that's
but there also are plenty of companies where everyone's socking away 6K is fine. And that's going to be a great start for
Right.
them.
I get it, and I'm not
Not
denying that,
having to give a
JD. I'm just
match
saying I
after
don't
the
think there's much of a
testing.
difference.
But Chad, I'm going to say this, what you're talking about is the reality, and what I'm talking about is perception. And the two are not always aligned.
Well, no,
Agreed.
And
I
so
would say-
sometimes what people think is the reality isn't actually the reality.
no,
And
perception is the
so
reality.
sometimes you need to open that door, and once you sort of knock down those objections, not by dismissing them, because people don't, usually like that, but by saying I've got an alternative that specifically addresses the
See,
objections you've
And
got.
I'm
Chad-
not, hold on, I completely agree, Nevin, and I'm 100% on board with you, and I'm not dismissing this. I'm saying as a professional in this space, it's my job to understand the differences and make sure that I'm advising the people who are reaching
True.
out to me for guidance on what I believe is right for them.
And you might not to be a pessimist, but you might lose business because of this. Someone who would have been a startup safe harbor match might go this route because it's simpler and cheaper and there's less hassle. Jeff Atchison, who's a very smart man, wrote in the chat bar, starter K tax credit to offset third-party administrator plan installation. Am I being naive here? As I see it right now, you will not have a third-party administrator on this plan, nor will you have a bundled compliance administrator. There is no compliance work to be done.
Oh, there is compliance oversight. You got to validate the auto enroll and who opt
You
out.
could
who
make up
didn't.
some. You could
There
make
might
up
be
some.
eligibility. I mean, there's going to be things to be done.
Well, okay,
You don't have to
fine.
do testing
have
and a
a-
That's
tax
fun.
filing.
That's really fun. Are we gonna make up some like administrative support services around?
No,
these-
I think you use tech and you use a record
I mean,
keeper
here-
to do that.
I mean, is the government, think about the state run plans. Are they really monitoring that and making sure all the employees are getting
The
enrolled?
payroll provider is supposed to be in that setting.
Right, but
But they're
Tony
not
Davis-
subject to the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. This is going to be.
Tony Davis, you're all doomed. No, but I will take the classic cliche response, which is if we can get all these companies that are part of the coverage gap, and we're never gonna set up a plan in the first place, this
So,
allows them to, then we can cultivate them for later days and bring them on to something cooler and better. And Chad will still fight to this day, letting them know why it'd be better to do a traditional Form K and allow their owner to sock away.
So I just have to fight, JD. I can't back down to when you say this allows them to. Your pooled employer plan comment. What's the difference? They could have always done this. It would allow them to set this up. They would have had some compliance costs. But that's the difference, is that we're trying to look at this and say,
Yeah.
let's
Go
oversimplify
ahead,
it
Nevin,
and
go ahead.
avoid the
Chad,
compliance
no,
costs.
look, I hear where you're going, Chad. And you know what? The principal part of me, which does exist, completely agrees with you. Okay. But the reality is we're dealing with people who are not always rational in the same way, or don't have the same appreciation for the realities that you're talking about. So they throw up barriers, and they may be made up and they may not be accurate or whatever, but they're the
I hear
barriers, and they shut off the conversation like completely. So to JD's point, now we're in this environment now, right? We're coming out of the so-called, great resignation. The labor market's all messed up. People are fighting over whether they're working from home or not. All that kind of crap's going on. And employers are looking for things to sort of help differentiate them. Now, you'd like to think that an employer in that situation would say, I should have a 401k because that would differ. No, but they may not, because they're worried about all these other things that may or may not be accurate in their situation, but that's what they believe in their hearts. And no amount of pitching them over that is going to get them past it. But now you can come in with a shiny new toy that's specifically meant to address those concerns and get the door open for that conversation. And then maybe it has to start with something maybe it's like the state-run plans, right? I mean, there are plenty of situations, as JD said, where the state-run plan is all they want to do, and it's all they care about, and they just want to move on. And yet, how many situations, and I've heard you guys talk about this many times, not just you, but lots of advisors, the mandate, you have to think about this push does open the door
Oh, God,
for
yeah.
better
Yeah,
solutions.
absolutely.
The mandate was the key thing there in California
Right.
that any other state should figure out. I would even say
Are
to
we
the
gonna
federal,
like simplify some of this shit eventually? I mean, why do we keep adding layers and different types of plans if you're just gonna confuse
that's what they
employers?
Because
Hold on here.
whatever.
But no, I know what the point is, but we have state-run plans. We have this. We have shit. what the
Okay,
hell
you're
is
good.
it?
We get ya.
Simples,
We get ya. Yeah.
Which I'll drink for. Like
There's because
shit.
there's no silver bullet, Justin. There's
It's a
no
shiny new
one
thing,
single
Justin.
solution.
Like,
That's
Nevin
the
said
thing.
it
It's a shiny new
perfectly.
thing. We're all pretty freaking intelligent.
We're
in
trying
this
to
industry.
open doors. Nevin
let's
said it perfectly.
simplify
There's
it.
plenty of options for people, but
Hey.
we're trying to open doors. We're giving them new things to think about so that we don't have such a big gap. Like,
How about
yeah,
just
we
refine
keep
some
throwing
stuff?
things. Something's going to stick, but more doors are going to open. People are going to set shit up.
do
The
you know that?
mandate, I think, was crucial in accomplishing a lot of that.
Do you know that someone wrote me a message on LinkedIn and they said, I love the show. But I've noticed, JD, it seems like you're always very negative about everything. And I took that to heart and I was like, I got the next morning, I meditated after my tea in the morning and the sun was rising. And I said, I'm going to start being more positive on these shows. And now all of a sudden, Chad and Justin are like the fucking biggest pessimists ever on this show. They've like filled.
Well, I had to fill in
you-
for Mark last week, so that's what that was
You're
about.
missing, I think, Nevin, I'm so on board with everything you've said, but I feel like JD is missing the mark in my pessimism there. I don't think any of this is negative. I don't.
You're just saying they could have done a workplace pushed individual retirement account last year. They could have done it the year before that. And what makes this thing that much different than that? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying that I'm saying this specific thing isn't the solution. It's the door opener, like Nevin said. I don't think this is anything different. I think this is a shiny toy that opens up conversation.
Well, it's more, I mean, it certainly is that, as I've just said, but it's more than that, because it's also an acknowledgement that for some employers who may be in a state that doesn't have this kind of a mandate to make them do it, will nonetheless make it more available to them. So yes, I think from the industry standpoint, you should look at it as an opportunity.
Should have
But-
fucking mandated it.
but-
Should have mandated it.
Not everybody's keen on big government
It'll come.
mandates, JD.
It worked here,
come.
bro. It worked here. I mean, we're the size of a small country.
I'm just
fucking-
gonna say this: California ain't the whole U.S. Okay, I'll just say it like
Oh.
that.
There's what 15 other
California is
states.
much more big use to big government mandates and stuff.
United States.
Are you talking shit about Governor Newsom? I'm kidding. Never mind. We won't go there.
There's a reason they call, never mind. Anyway.
Okay.
Say
No,
it.
those are facts. Those are facts. But I'm kind of with Chad, and why I say you should have mandated is I just feel like, a proactive advisor could have sold an individual retirement account through their workplace last year, and everyone could have saved the 6K, and they could have really made it nice and set it up, but they didn't. And I just don't think
Again, now you guys are being fairly negative there. What is something that a lot of people are comfortable with? The terminology 401k, right?
Yeah, you got it.
They
Brand
are
recognition of it.
far more knowledgeable
Which-
about it, understand it. It
But
makes
see,
sense to them.
But what's it called? What's it called? It's the starter K.
I got you.
Why do you think it's called the starter K?
That's-
Yeah.
Exactly. the
Nevin,
point.
you're
right.
making my point. I'm saying
Guys
he's
you're
with you.
making all
I'm
you're all
combating-
making
yeah.
the same point, guys.
I'm-
Is that
No,
it's not the
it's good.
solution, it's the terminology, it's the access, it's the
I'm
door opener.
picking up what Rogue Guy's putting down. I get it.
I
You're
am
right.
too.
No,
That's a valid
he's
point.
right.
the world of the individual retirement account offered through an employer, it's just not well received in a lot of
Right.
ways. People want to know it, and maybe it has more to do with portability and things like that, and be able to roll their money in and moving things around. Like, you get stuck on the outside with some of those other things, with the rules in terms of rollovers, with
Well done.
Roth in the terms of how you can move that in and out, and what all it needs to make sense to people. And so you guys are all, I missed last week's show. I didn't prepare for jack shit for today, but I'm sitting here just going, I see nothing wrong with what's going on.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right. You're backing up Nevin's argument, which is if you could walk in and say, guess what? The government has put in place a new kind of 401k plan just for you. It's simpler. It doesn't have all the overhead. I mean, yeah, I get it. You certainly could sell that thing a lot better.
damn it. You caught me, chat bar.
You certainly could sell that more effectively than selling a pooled employer plan, because we've seen how difficult that is. Okay, let's move on. One of the things that I was
We're not going to mention that we snuck some of those into this bill also.
barely. I mean, what, you giving them to 403B plans or something? What's the big deal?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo.
I bet Mr. DeCenso is excited. Anyway.
We won't go there. We won't go there. I will come out with a full-fledged expose sometime in 2023 proving that this fucking thing has wah, 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 wah. Peps have fallen flat on their face. Okay. Modification. Yes, I'll drink for that. You know what I'm drinking? That's my second one. I'm going straight off the fucking bourbon.
Yeah.
Like anybody cares. Oh fuck.
Nope.
That's gnarly. Modification of credit for small employer pension plan. Why do you say pension plan anymore? I hate that term. Startup costs. We talked about this last week. We seemed a little confused about the 50% going to the 100%. I think the requirement of 100 employees dropped to 50 or less. I basically, in my further research now, and I actually went into the actual 4,000 page thing, I started to read through that section. I hate the way they lay that shit out. I could barely understand. So then I just went and found someone's summary that I could read and understand, being honest. And so Chad, you were onto something last week. That same rules, nothing's changed in the old rules of the credit is, it's used to say 50%. Now it's 100% of your eligible startup costs. And Nevin, you can correct me when I fuck something up here, up to the greater of $500. And then it went to that 250 you talked about. You can have a 250 multiplier times the number of non-highly compensated employee eligible participants, or $5,000. And $5,000 would be 20 employees, right? 250 times, did I get that right? Yeah. So 20 employees. So it kind of is 100% of $5,000 in each of the first 3 years, assuming you got 20 people, which is a small little company. This is fucking phenomenal. This is insane. Like, Mark, Chad, Justin, and any salesperson out there, I said this last week, to go walk into startups now and be like, look, we will cover your costs for the next 3 years. You're covered. There's no fucking
Or just do a starter K and don't worry about it.
Why do the starter K when you can get the real K for free?
But see that it is an amazing step forward for the small plan. It is an amazing thing. And it really deals with that second big concern, right? Cost and complexity. Well, that's cost. You just take cost right off the table.
For 3 years, which that's all a sales.
Well, I mean, for 3 plus there's So for 3 years, I mean, come on, think about it.
That's good.
By that point in time, things are kind of up and going, and try taking a plan away from people after they've had it for 3 years. It's not going to be easy.
And what are we talking about too? In addition to that, so wait, there's more. When you buy, we're going to give you, in addition to that, if I give a match or an employer contribution, I get the government's going to chuck $1,000 at that person, and it's like 100% in the first year and 75% another year.
I thought, is it even a match on the defined contribution side? I thought that was just on the defined benefit side that you get that additional credit for.
No, it's excluding the defined benefit.
Yeah,
I thought.
It's excluding. Okay,
Yeah, it's excluding.
I thought it was like
Damn, JD, you actually did read this thing.
Yeah, I do.
I'm impressed.
I'm dumber than I look. So that's pretty
smart man.
That's pretty sick too. Like, I was doing some math on that, and I was thinking to myself, like, if you have 30 employees and you pay those employees $75K, and you do like a 4% safe harbor match, you could get $30,000 credit.
Guys, break out your spreadsheets. We may put a little calculator up even on our website. Break out your spreadsheets and do this out, man. You're gonna sit there and tell yourself, I know I've screwed something up. It can't possibly be this good. But it really is. And it's an acknowledgement. The people in Congress understand the impediments. They understand that where there's long been a tax credit for setting up a plan and everything, it's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, but it's never been enough to really make a difference. This is an eye opener. This is a jaw dropper. I mean, it's literally, you can come in to these employers and say, hey, how would you like to have a 401k plan for free for 3 years?
Jeff Atchison, are you saying that that's low pay in Cali or high? I'm so Californian, I don't even understand your comment.
He's saying that average
That's paycheck to
75K
paycheck in
is
California.
definitely not happening in the rest of the country.
Because I was thinking
most, I should say.
I was looking at it as kind of like a conservative number, like it's you're not paying people too much, but maybe that's crazy talk. Okay.
Let me Shannon. I think the reason is money. because the government people who figure out how much these things cost think that costs way more than it actually should.
Shannon and her love child rule. I'm so the love child rule with Shannon. Okay, wait, I had a fucking thought here.
But what's important is that there is a love child rule that we're taking care of.
This
Let's take-
is the first time that I've seen a real clear, easy to understand, like rogue guys should love this, motivation for an employer to put in an employer contribution like a match. Now, let's be clear. I can't benefit from this as an existing 401k plan that has a safe harbor. So when I made that analogy of me saving 30K, that's not going to be applicable to me. But here we go again with the coverage gap. But here's another juicy, enticing thing to talk to an owner about setting up a new plan and actually getting this $1,000 per eligible employee. Yeah. I know. I'm being a weirdo about this, but it's so
Nevin,
fucking cool.
do you know if someone set up, say, this past year and they're already in one type of tax credit form, do they then get a leverage the 100% credit for the next 2 years, for example? Or do they have to stick with what they originally started with?
I don't understand your question.
So if someone set up a plan in 2022 and they're at a 50% credit. In 2023, can they enhance to the 100% credit of their build expenses?
Oh, yeah, these are the things. These are
Well,
the
I think
things.
they can because the tax form, everything's reported on the tax form.
And
that
it's for
tax form will
3
update.
years of existence, but it's not a new plan, right? They
I was
started their
gonna-
new plan under the 50%.
I was gonna pretend to be Arissa. Shit, I'll drink for that
Yeah, but
attorney there.
Chad, have you looked at the tax on Internal Revenue Services website? So it actually lays out like, hey, this is how you calculate what your credit is, and I assume that tax form will be updated for
This
future
is great.
years.
This brings up a great point, Chad. I talked to Nevin about this earlier. I want everyone out there to understand this. These 4,000 pages comes out. How many pages do you think are 401k related, Nevin? Or
350.
350 pages. Smart people have already gotten together, sat down, read through it all, started having conversations. You all do know that there's going to be all kinds of little nuances, dare I say mistakes, like things that aren't clear. And it's going to be up to our industry. And here we have on the show today, Nevin Adams, like the American Retirement Association, the people that they partner with, to find these little holes, these little gaps in the rules, and to figure out how we're actually going to implement this stuff in the real world. And some of those things haven't really come to the surface yet. And maybe Chad's talking about a simple one, but all this stuff will start to sort itself out. Did I hear is Brian Graff and some others doing a webinar in January?
We'll have webinars for all of the member associations. We've been sending out announcement. People should go ahead and register for them. The ASPA crowd, the TPA record keepers will have a different look. Then the advisor community, I think the advisors is on January 26th or something like that.
So you'll stay really, I'm going to piss off all the advisors listening. So you'll stay really surface level for all the advisors, but for the third party administrator one, you're going to go deep on this stuff, right?
Deeper.
Yeah.
More technical.
Good. Because to Chad's point, there's going to be all kinds of those types of questions.
But the team here has been going over all of it, and when finding lots of things, and as usual, what's going to happen is the members are going to ask questions like are being asked here, and we'll get those answers. So Chad, send me your question in an email and I'll get you a definitive answer.
I'll answer your question right now, Chad. They already had a plan in place. They don't get any of this new shit. Fuck them.
I wouldn't think so,
but they're already in the process of claiming the credit that we're now enhancing. So I would think they could use the enhanced credit.
That's generally speaking, not the way the government operates, but
I would think they'd be grandfathered on their old shit. Now I'm really making up stuff. It's fun to pretend. It's fun to pretend to be an ERISA attorney. I'll drink for that. Okay, we're gonna play a game. It's not a game. What am I talking about? It's not a game. We're gonna talk about your investments. This is serious shit. We are going to all kneel down to the god that is Robe Guy. Brandon, please play Drunk Stock Tips little intro dealio while I Okay, before Mark gets started, quick public service announcement. I've never had this before. I just found it in the cupboards. It's a little gnarly. I don't recommend it.
Oh,
And
it's
then-
delicious.
I also found this. It's a Modelo Chelada Limon y Salt. This is fucking disgusting. So
I
I'm
did
not
not
kidding.
see that going that way.
Oh my-
Where did you find that, JD?
I'm guessing this is my 24-year-old daughter that put this in the refrigerator. It sucks. It's
Not
really
your
bad.
18-year-old son.
Really bad. No, he just pounds Coors Lights like they're going out of style. Okay, let's see. Trunk stock tips. I got some results for y'all. You know, we gotta stay up on how Rogue Guy's been doing, and you know,
Hey, I'm on Retireholics. This is Fred.
is it really?
Ah!
No!
The man,
my
the myth.
God.
You should answer that call.
Oh my
You should
God.
answer that call.
Fred Reese is on the phone.
Let me tell you about my best friend.
So hey, say hi, Fred.
Hello, everybody. This
Hey!
is Fred,
This is
the
lovely.
Nevin's prolific podcasting partner, or something like that.
That's how you introduce yourself now.
You know-
You're so much.
You know how nerdy.
Anyway, I don't know if you saw that Biden signed the bill. I wanted to.
Of
Hope
course
you
we
make the
did,
big
Brad.
announcement.
Oh yeah, no, we got the announcement already. It broke on the Retireholics.
Yeah.
So yeah, but thanks, bud.
Oh my God.
That was yesterday's
okay.
news, buddy.
Good. I can't go on anymore. I'm too nervous right now. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, she is.
All
I'm
right.
turning 3 shades redder than I was first time.
What'd you say, Fred?
This is a call-in show, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Apparently it is. Do you have a question? Yeah, you have several questions, as I recall. But anyway,
Fred, we love you,
Oh,
Fred. Everyone in the
go back
chat
to your
bar
show.
says they love
I
you.
just wanted to say hi.
We say hi back to you.
Oh.
All right.
all right, man. You take care.
I
talk
can't
to you.
believe I'm going to say this, but can you hang up on Fred? Okay.
I just did. Sorry.
Wow. Holy shit.
That
No,
was
it's
like,
gonna-
remember the segment you used to have with Paul, Better Call Paul?
yeah. I would love. Are you kidding me? If we get Fred Reese to call in, I'd do it every
That's
week.
sick.
I'm not even joking. I'm playing it up. Like my heartbeat just went up by like 30 beats per minute. Okay. Bro, I love that he's so nerdy that he's calling you to let you know that Biden signed the thing. That's fucking
Yeah.
hilarious. Like
We were no. So we did a
Mhm.
podcast recording this week, and that's important because the thing about the plans having to have automatic enrollment, that clock starts with the enactment of the legislation. So aside from will Biden sign it, when Biden signs that matters for those plans and having to have automatic enrollment. Now,
Mm.
it's going to affect the plans that start up after that, but they don't have to start doing it until I think it's 2024. So it's a weird kind of thing, but that really matters. And it came up in our discussion on the podcast. And so we were sort of very aware of the fact
Waiting.
that when he signed it matters. And there was all kind of jokes about having pre-drafted plans sitting there ready to go and all that kind of stuff. So
well,
yeah, we just kind of geeked out together. So
well, more importantly, it does mean that Justin and I will have to drink 6 ounces of Malort followed by a beer next week. Okay, drunk stock tips. We got to keep you up to pace on this stuff. You know, Robe Guy's an absolute god when it comes to this stuff. And so here we go. Netflix, when he told you to buy it, it's at a 46% gain. It's actually a little north of that. Twitter, he already locked in your gains. Any of you Elon haters out there, like Mark nailed Twitter. He told you to buy it. If you bought it, you got a 24% gain, and that was forever locked in when Elon bought the company. It's no longer a publicly traded stock. He told you to buy Home Depot. It's a 19% gain for you when he told you to do that. He told you to not run away. He told you to bike away from Peloton and has netted you a 26.4% gain on that. He told you to surf away from Laird Superfoods and has gotten you, ready for this, people? a 61.90% gain on that one. As much as he loves Bird, and maybe I have to drink for that, I don't know, the little scooters, because he rides them, he's told his investors, no, stay away from that shit. Scooter away from it. And you have gained 32.35%. Now, I don't want to be all hunky-dory, roses and unicorns here and rainbows. He also told you to buy Apple, Tesla, and Disney. Apple is down 9% since when he told you, but you know, it's Apple. So we'll see. Tesla's the one where he really got fucked. So Mark went with Tesla. Tesla's been getting crushed. It's down 49%. But as I research it, there are a lot of people out there that are saying Tesla will have the last laugh in this kind of stock market rundown. And then Disney, which has basically been flat, it's down 3%, no big deal. Here's the nuts and bolts of it. If you invested in the S&P Standard & Poor's 500 check swing,
We'll give it to
How's it a check swing if you finish saying it?
Finish the S.
Say 500.
you. Thanks, Nevin.
Oh,
God damn that shit. You would be down, since we started this in May with Rogue Guy, you would be down 7.5%. That's where the market's been down. And you know, it's been crazy times, people. With Rogue Guy, you're up almost 17% in a crazy year. So, and I would argue the things dragging down that 17% look like things that could pop off at any moment. Apple, Tesla, Disney. Okay. With that, to prove his credibility, to prove
I thought we had Starbucks on there too.
Did.
Oh shit. Well, I didn't look at that one.
Mm.
Sorry.
Okay.
We'll check that one out. Sorry, my bad. Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll check that one out. I basically do this from my notepad on my Apple iPad, so it's not a perfect science. I got one for you today. Lot of weather issues across the country. A lot of people have been upset, Rogue guys.
Wouldn't know. I live in California. I don't give a shit about the weather.
Yes, everybody. It was 80 degrees in San Diego on Christmas Day. So, flights have been canceled. And there's been one airlines that stands out from them all. I even believe
this is coming.
I even believe Chad's was canceled today. Am I wrong, Chad? Chad?
Today, I was not supposed to be here tonight, and it was canceled.
What airline were you going to fly?
Southwest.
Okay, Southwest Airlines, ticker LUV. I don't know if I drank for that. I'm going to have to kick this one to you, Mark, because I don't fly Southwest. It's just not,
They don't have a first class. Of course you don't.
There's no first class. It's just not my jam. But it's been hammered because of recent things. It's been hammered because of COVID. All airlines as a genre were hammered. My drunk son from University of Miami put a lot of money into the airlines when COVID hit and was thinking he was so smart. It's not worked out for him so far. What do we do, Mark? It closed today at $33.38. Southwest Airlines, ticker LUV.
All right. So I got to go through a little process here. This might be the most difficult one because of recent events. And it's definitely a toss up in a lot of ways. But here's what I'm going to go with my gut. I'm not going to overthink this. Checking in and lining up in those stupid A24 or whatever, they are the worst. I fly Southwest a lot because of the cost. It seemed to be great. No, I despise of their process. They try to get you with their free bags, and you know what? It's just all smoke and mirrors. Southwest is going to crumble and crumble quickly. I'm out on Southwest.
You heard it here first.
Wow.
Short it, people. I'm with you. I love this. And their lack of first class. I mean, come on.
Okay, first off, just to be clear, not even a consideration in my mind, just so you know.
Okay, everyone, you've heard it here first. Mark knows what he's talking about. We have him in talks to start his own hedge fund. And so we'll get this figured out very quickly. And maybe someday in 6 years, you'll see him going to prison from the Bahamas, just like the crypto guy. I don't know. Who knows? You know, we can only hope and dream. Okay, so sell.
You know what they say.
On Southwest. I will look up Starbucks as we close and maybe do a tiny after show. Go ahead.
Well, since Tony always calls me out on my crypto purchases, I should say, I'm even. I bought a fair amount of Southwest at 33.35 a share. So I hope that you're wrong, Mark. 33. I bought it years ago.
Chad, get the fuck out now. You're even. Get out.
I don't know. I kind of think I want to sit. I think it's going to go up.
So no, I love that. I love that because you just got burned by them. Okay. And now you're staying in, and I respect that. You know what? Because you're not taking
He's not emotional about it.
No, you're taking the emotion completely out of it. And I agree with that, Chad. But I'm looking at this over the long haul. Yeah, of course, is it going to climb back up? Over time it will, because when it comes out of this, the dust settles on all this bad stuff, and they actually hired people to have flights because that's their job. Then maybe people will be like, oh, all right, yeah. Over time, though, they're gonna get lost.
What's your time frame?
We don't talk about time frames, Nevin.
Whatever helps make him right.
Whatever you're thinking, double it.
Nice.
Okay. You'll have to excuse my friend. He's a little slow.
By the way, I looked up Starbucks. You told us to buy Starbucks on November 17th, and it was at $96, and it closed today just under 100, 99.77. So that would have added to your percentage there, bumped you up over that 17% a little bit. So I will add Starbucks next time. Okay. All right. You know, everybody, stick with Rogue Guy on your investments. And no, there's no disclosures here. There's no disclosures. Sorry, I'm stuck on an old show. Let's see. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to do Chap Our Champion. I'm going to tell you about next week's guest.
Oh, yeah. I want to know.
So we're doing Chap Our Champion the old school way. There's 5 of us here, and we each make our votes. I'm going to vote for Bill Shorey's because he's been active in tonight's chat bar, and he sends me free Titleist Pro V1s from time to time. Okay, Chad, you're next.
You got him too, Mark.
I'm joking.
There's a lot of good back and forth tonight.
You want to take mine, Chad?
I think I'm going with Jeff.
Damn it, you son of a bitch.
Jeff Atchison.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, don't say son of a bitch. You vote for him and now he wins.
Oh, you said okay. I thought you
dumb.
You have to vote for him now.
Week.
Like
I'm voting Jeff.
Okay, 2 votes for Jeff. Nevin, your vote for Chap Our Champion.
Well, I was gonna go with Jeff, but now we got to make it interesting. I'll go with Shorey's.
He won.
Because although he does not send
Mark,
me golf balls, he does
room.
like and comment on my post on LinkedIn.
Roby breaks the tie. And Roby, I suggest you ask each of them how many drinks they've had tonight in the chat bar.
Wait, I don't want to break a tie. I want to have my own vote. I vote for Sherry Fitz.
Okay, fine. Sherry Fitz. All right. Brandon's
so mad right now.
Do we
He's
revote?
so
We
mad.
vote for those two?
I'm the ultimate tiebreak, so
Yeah.
Jeff.
There you go.
Oh, there you
Jeff.
go.
My name is Jeff. Jeff Atchison.
Jeff.
Jeff Atchison, you won Chap Our Champion. Congrats to you. And I just realized that I fucked up last week. So I got to get your charity, and I got to get last week's winner. Who won last week? I forgot. We'll figure it out. We'll get their charity. We'll pump it on the internet. We'll give $150 to each. Is it Samson? Was it Samson? Shit, I didn't reach out to Samson.
Sounds right.
We'll get Samson's charity. We'll get Atchison's charity.
Oh, man.
We'll give $150 to each, and then we'll put it on LinkedIn. Hopefully you all out there can chip in I told you last week, I think we were about $1,700 for the month so far to charities,
Wow.
which, it's not a big
That's
deal,
part of
but
our marketing budget.
That's
it's
awesome.
something. It's something.
Jesus.
No, that's money. Our budget stayed the same. Instead of spending $150 on pizzas with anchovies, we sent it to charities, but we're getting other
Yes.
people to jump in money. So that's good. That's good. Next week, who's going to be here? He's with American Century, and
Ooh.
I never thought American Century would come here because over the years they told me, JD, we love what you're doing, but it's just
But
not
you're crazy.
just not on brand for us at American Century. And
How many
they've
people have
come
said that to us?
they've come around. So Mr. Glenn Dial, yeah, of course.
Nice.
Kind of national speaker will be here on January 5th, and we'll be talking to Mr. Dial about all the things that
Oh,
he
that's
does.
gonna be fun.
Yeah, he'll be good. And thank you, Nevin, for joining us today, the finale of 2022.
Season 8, as Justin would say.
Appreciate the invite,
Yep.
as
Okay.
always.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. And like I said last
Nevin,
week,
was
Getting our
it
turnout
was it
tonight?
really an invite, or did JD beg you?
Big.
I don't remember, to be honest.
I think he basically knew I would be desperate enough to join. So.
Oh no, we were desperate for you, buddy.
I thought it'd be fun to have someone cool to kind of finish out the year.
But you couldn't get them, so you got me. I get it.
Kind of a special deal. And hey, everybody.
You got him because you worried about attendance.
And hey, everybody.
You
We
draw
had
that crowd.
we had a bonus. We had Mr. Reach call in himself. That was a cool bonus.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone out there that
Yeah.
during the holidays. Very fucking cool of you. And yeah, that's another year. As Mark said, it's been 8 years. I'm not going to get all emotional end of the year thing, but it's cool. We're still doing
That's
this.
awesome.
Y'all still participating. We got some great shit planned for 2023. Stuff that I've alluded to in the past. It's hard at work right now that we're excited for y'all to see. And some great guests lined up too.
Yeah, there's very much something that I'm wondering when it's ever going to come out. Didn't we take
Bro,
a long trip?
That takes
Do
time,
something?
man. That takes
Yeah,
time.
October it'll be done.
That takes time.
Did he say which
Okay.
year? Did he say which year?
He
Oh,
did
you're
not.
right. Oh,
Nevin.
Nevin,
Fine
Nevin.
print. Fine print.
Well, stay tuned.
Anyway.
That's not gonna happen.
Brandon's actually tasked with a lot of the work. Okay, so out there, yeah, 401k industry, we love you. It rocks. Secure Act, I'll drink for it 2.0.
Hey, say it, everybody. Say it. We'll see you next year.
Oh, there you go. Mark ended it. Peace, everyone. I don't know. Maybe 5 minutes.
That's
in the
what they
after-
say, Tom.
Maybe 5 minutes in the after show, maybe not. I'm not sure. We'll see. Okay, Brandon plays out some music. Peace out, everyone. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. All those things.
Cool.
Brandon, you do have music.